Kind of a cool loading screen there. Although, of course, I'm partial towards the dinosaur one from the last one, because anything involving dinosaurs is obviously my whole thing. So last time was my first episode of playing this expansion. This is episode 2. So in tradition, although it's more of a recent tradition, because I didn't do that throughout the history of the game. Don't you love just seeing TikTok on there as soon as you come in? Sort of my semi-tradition lately is that I like to do a 10k draft as soon as it begins, both to get some of the cards and just to see what they're like and things like that. It's not like I look up anything about the game or know anything outside of just simply playing it, so it is kind of fun to play a card game as deep and expansive and with as many cards as this completely blind, because stuff like that comes in pretty fresh. So I wasn't too impressed with the cards. I especially wasn't too impressed with my performance in the draft, because I didn't just go 3-0 or 0-3 in the whole, play 3 games regardless of record, right? So I went 0-3, but I also went 0-6 because it's like a best of 2, first to 2 for each one. So I also fucking blanked there. I don't think I've done that before. Like, sure, I've lost all the games before, but not like that. Although I think I've gone 0-3 in the other kind of drafts where, like, you play until you lose 3 games. But those end up taking so long and these episodes are so short that I end up never actually being able to finish those. The whole recurring joke with this expansion is going to be, once again, because I don't look anything up and I don't know anything about it outside of just simply playing the game, this game copied Hearthstone, just the same way that Hearthstone was always accused of copying this. Now, I always say that broadly in the sense of the whole presentation of this game does seem to take after that, even if obviously the core mechanics of the game from Hearthstone are based on Magic very obviously and clearly. But the one thing is that this expansion, even the name of it, Murder at Castle Nathria, if I'm not mistaken, was the name of the one there, right? I should know that maybe a little better. So this is Murder at Karlov Manor. Now, that could be some real life set that existed long before. That could be some Dungeons and Dragons lore name or something I don't know. But just from my limited knowledge from within the game itself, it does seem like green is always a safe one, so I don't have to re-roll those. Killing your opponent's creatures, though, is a lot more. This quest kind of represents what's unusual about Magic. In any other card game, this would be an easy condition to reach, but this can be one of the hardest things to do, although it's only 15, but still. It can be way harder in this game, because whether you win or lose the game, so much of it can be just about bypassing the ability to attack minions, because you can only block, so you can't. Sometimes it's just not even within your control, or there's this thing called removal that I just never use, ever, and I hate it. And part of my whole style of play, like why I like Hexproof so much, is to play around the fact of trying to prevent other people from using it. One-time deal on 5 packs and 2,500 gems. But what does that even mean? Oh, it'll be with money though. Or, yeah, this is a free-to-play thing. I don't know why. I thought it was like you would pay a certain amount of gold. There should be some gold to gems conversion sort of thing, which you effectively can do. Like, you buy into a draft with gold that gives you gems as a reward, regardless of whatever shitty record you might have. That's still the general transaction going on. Yeah, I didn't do too well there. Basically, what I like to do, this has been the tradition too. The first episode, I do a 10k draft. Then the second episode, I look through all the cool new additions. Mainly, I'll even admit, just I want to see what dinosaurs they added to this one. And you might laugh at that because, like, didn't I get my fill of fucking dinosaurs last expansion when that was the whole premise of it? But apparently not. So that's just my favorite color is green. My favorite archetype is obviously dinosaurs always. But yeah, the whole subject matter of it is probably going to be reminiscent of that too. So yes, they copied Hearthstone, Murder at Castle Nathria. It's just how shockingly similar the name is too, right? Like, let me actually look up again. I think I did this last time. Murder at Castle Nathria. So I'm not going to look up at any point, and people get triggered if I upload it to YouTube in the comments and things like this. But Murder at Castle Nathria. That's what it's called. Murder at Karlov Manor. So that was in June 27, 2022. And that was around when I came back to playing this game regularly, wasn't it? If it was June, so it would have been July, August, September. That must have been when I got Wild Legend, too. It was right at that point, and I was so enamored with the whole imp thing, and I was making fun of it and using Galakron and trolling and stuff like that. So basically, it was exactly to do with that. So yeah, basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the stupid what dinosaurs did they add and maybe make a deck with them, and then just, because I do have like a mythic card waiting around, but anything other than a green dinosaur I have to definitely think twice about. The main thing I was playing as the last couple episodes was, I mean, before the draft one last time, was the rainbow dinosaur. So this allowed me to play some of the cool ones, including literally myself, because I got the Gishath avatar, but we got, the excuse to play some of these of different colors. So he's pretty badass. Like, some of these have amazing effects. Like, almost too good. This can be like a crazy effect that almost wins you the game. This can be a not that. Where's the other Galta? Obviously, this one I even said was busted. Like, see, I'm always objective like that. Even though I love it and I'm benefiting from it, it almost seems like too strong of an effect where it kind of almost bothers me. Tali is kind of busted. Like, it's always their effects. Their statting almost doesn't even matter sometimes. Not like the good old Gigantosaurus, like back in the good old days of Magic, if that existed early on. That's the kind of, I play my Blue Eyes White Dragon and just, assume you don't have removal for it. So Kaiba Jr. in the Flash, it's like you're playing a 5-mana 10/10 and you're just like, your opponent can't deal with that. It's too strong. Nothing in their deck of other colors is strong enough to beat that, but you don't account for the fact that Yugi Moto on the other side here has like a fucking silver arrow and they shoot their elephant at you and it poisons it or something, a mammoth graveyard and all this kind of contrived shit that you see like in the anime, but in real life it's just as anticlimactic as, oh, they just play Hammer Shot, or here they just play some whatever basic removal card. So I could almost do another 10k draft, and I almost would want to at some point, just for the sake of oh, I could even do that right now, but it won't add the cards to your collection. But I can do it later. I mean, I would have to, I guess. Farm it back up to 10k just to sort of redeem how shitty I did in that one. So let's honestly just look at the dinosaur stuff here. Yeah, we got Gishath. Oh, and I think I even looked at the Mastery Tree and there was nothing I wanted to pursue. So this time I can take it easy and not worry about... Like, I would get her almost as like a Lilith. They copied Diablo. This is Lilith from Diablo. But... yeah, I don't really care, right? So I'll still try to do the daily quest, but we can almost take an expansion off of trying to get to rank 35, because I've done that a couple in a row for 2 very good cosmetics. The Tim Burton card back and the... Gishath, obviously the dinosaur. The one dinosaur cosmetic that I was missing that I almost wish they would add here as like a bonus, like one last chance to get it, is the dinosaur pet, right? Because who knows how long it'll be before they add that again. So I maybe missed a chance to get it if they ever offered it for gold, or maybe you just had to buy it on the reward track thing. I almost swear at the very beginning it did give you the chance to buy it for some crazy amount of gold. Yeah, which one would you rather be, Gishath or this clown? Like, both of them represent my obsession with dinosaurs, but... yeah, I've bought way too many cosmetics in this game, but it is kind of fun every once in a while, too. I mean, even the Beholder guy is cool. Every once in a while, it's nice to kind of reward yourself with that, but within a free-to-play sort of context, it is a little bit silly. So there's no real goal that we even have with this whole playthrough, which is in some ways unlike me, to the extent that, it's like overly casualized, but... there's no such thing as like, I love all these communities that sort of gatekeep, and this could be one of them. It seems like you can't just play it casually, but you can, like, and you can still enjoy it too if you enjoy playing as the same shit over and over, especially like me. That subverts the whole free-to-play issue too. It's like, who cares if you don't... I feel like I'm unique in that way. I honestly don't do it as a pretense, like, oh, because I do it on stream, or even like in real life, if I was to genuinely play this game, I would play it the same way. Just in principle, I like to play free to play, and then I don't mind playing the same decks over and over, and I don't mind even doing it for longer periods of time than what I do here. It's like, it's very authentic to how I would play something, right? If I didn't enjoy it, then I just wouldn't do it. I would say, oh, fuck it, I'm not going to play the game. Like, that's the whole irony of PvZ Heroes. I've been playing a series on that for a while, right? Almost a year now, it feels like. And imagine that I enjoyed PvZ Heroes, a fucking Plants vs. Zombies based card game, rather a plant-based card game, haha. But basically, like... I enjoyed that more than both Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and maybe not Duel Links, but sort of more than Duel Links and Master Duel, for one reason only, because those games don't have formats that let you play with the older cards or restrict your card pool. So you can use, even if you choose, like, you must be the difference you wish to see in the world, even if you choose not to use certain annoying mechanics and metagame sort of power creep, try hard shit, like synchro summons and all this kind of BS, even if you choose not to use it, every game is going to be you sitting there for 5 minutes on the first turn, watching your opponent do it, and then destroying you because of it. So, like, you can't have this sort of lowest common denominator, more simple experience. Well, I mean, again, it would require somebody else to go out of their way to make one of these fun sort of themed decks. So people sort of misinterpret why I even do stuff like that. Okay, let's just look at from this expansion, obviously. Murders at Karlov Manor. Oh, they added an S, so at least it's not murder. I don't know what this Khans of Tarkir thing was, though. How is that an expansion? Because it never... or that was like maybe a mini set within the last... I don't know. where that came from, because I was confused and I almost thought that would be the next expansion here. Let me guess, there's gonna be like 0 fucking dinosaurs and I can't type. But that's one of the best formats in this game, is not just the historic that I normally always like to do in any of these games. And arguably you could say historic doesn't solve the problem that what? Are they going to punish you by having no dinosaurs in this expansion just because they spoiled you with them last time? That would almost be fitting. Look at the sad extinction of your fucking favorite species. This is bootleg Ross Geller recoils in horror at the death of the dinosaurs. This is a way to rub it in your face. Your favorite expansion ever in the history of the game that could ever be, that ever was or ever could be, is gone, and you don't even get any consolation dinosaurs to make you feel better about it. What the fuck? And there weren't really that many in there that I found super interesting. I mean, it didn't live up to sort of the hype of some of the excellent stat values and some of the older ones. So I almost might just keep playing as my rainbow one then, because I don't even know what to do. It's like, is that for real? How can there be none? Did I do something wrong maybe? Collected, not collected. That is still bullshit. But yeah, there's very few of like white and blue, which shows you how shitty white and blue are overall. There's like a couple more that you could do with the whole rainbow feel here. I almost wanted to build that as like, oh, that was my last time. I'll go back and play as some of the different ones then. That's enough of the rainbow stuff. But yeah, my inability to get bored of some of these same mechanics over and over is amazing. But yeah, the whole Yu-Gi-Oh story, right? The Yu-Gi-Oh story is basically, yeah, how could I enjoy PvZ Heroes more? Because there is no format. So the formats in this game that are good is obviously historic, like I always play Wild, but the other mode that's really good is the best of 3, right? That seems to make it really fair in a way that's like, most card games don't have that, but they really should.
We'll show up here. You can practice with me.
Really, it would show up here because I didn't ever play Alchemy in my whole life, so it should have showed historic.
Try out a new format.
I love shitting all over this Wisp. It's so annoying, and there was this bug the last couple episodes where it kept saying some random shit. Every time I went back to the home screen, it would tell me the same thing over and over. You completed Spark Rank. And I even talked shit about it to this extent. I made my own channel art with the Wisp in there with more personality and features to it that actually says something more witty than this clown could ever think of, just to clown on it even more. My Wisp is better than yours. Some random shit streamer with 200 followers and 3 viewers average, is non-partnered streamer, is able to make a better Wisp than you, multi-billion-dollar fucking company and game, greatest card game ever, My Little Pony arts, and all these kind of crossovers notwithstanding. But your shitty little Wisp is worse than mine. Weird flex, but very okay. Let's go back to some of these. Let's even just see what some of these are. Or let's, you know what, let's do a rotation. Whatever is green, we'll just play as until we lose, and then we'll go to the next one. And I'll even do it in a best of 3 set. Whatever we can do here, which it doesn't make sense really that you shouldn't be able to play it, because like if you can't play it in historic, then where can you play it? What is even timeless? Timeless uses every card in Magic the Gathering Arena. Or maybe I should do this then. What is the difference? Play a curated set of... Oh, fuck that. So, I don't even remember seeing this before. I feel like maybe it was added somewhat recently, or... Huh. What is Explore? Explore uses cards from standard sets dating back to October 2012. Well, what does that mean, then? Isn't that, like, all the game has ever been? Like, what does this game have? This game didn't exist, obviously, since it only been out since 2018. But I mean, what sets does this game have in there that would be from before 2012? Like, I would never know that because I've never played the physical card game. Those are 2 goals that I have as we turn this into like a just chatting stream, because again, there's really nothing I have to do today. I'll just try to do the daily quests and stuff, or I should do this while I'm in a game, but whatever. We want to focus and make sure we play to our high level optimal strategy, even though we do the same thing every time, summon fucking dinosaurs, but just play on the board, face roll like that. Although, see, you would think that would associate being with an aggro player, but it's more like, I'm always still a fan of mid-range, where you play on the board, but you try to win from the board. It's not like you're trying to go face. You win on the board, you win from the board. Even your removal is based on the board, like Master's Rebuke and stuff. But no, 2 goals I have is I should play an over-the-board tournament of card games, whether it be this or something else, and like one day eventually. And then I should play over-the-board chess tournaments of some kind, like FIDE rated, and of course that I've kind of committed to getting to a certain level. So let's start back as far as we can go with the green decks. Why don't these even work? Invalid cards 0. Maybe there's just not enough cards in there. Non-format cards. You just told me you can use every card in the game. What is the non-format card? This deck is currently set to historic. Okay, change it. So what wouldn't fit? I don't get it. Maybe just like an appearance of a card or something? What? Huh? That's so weird. None of these should be restricted. Like, I don't really care, but just to see... I mean, I do care in the sense that maybe I'll like Timeless even more than Historic because it's even more open-ended. And sure, they might be using bullshit synergies, but that's the whole point of the game. Like, I love how the standard format becomes some logical extension of their own way to try to hide from bad balancing issues. Like, yes, it's hard to balance a game with so many cards, even though this doesn't have every card in the history of the game physically, but the reality is you should be able to figure that stuff out. Or you could say it's just bad design, or it's like power creep that allows certain interactions that they didn't think of before. It's kind of fun. Like if somebody comes up with some busted thing in Hearthstone Wild, it's kind of cool because they had to think of it and they came up with it themselves. So they're combining some super old card that everybody forgot about with some new mechanic that now together they're busted. But that's the whole fun of it. Like, no fun allowed. The only things that are allowed to be overpowered are the newest ones that you have to pay money for, or they encourage you to pay money for to buy the new sets and stuff. It's based more on the business model, even in real life physical cards, and it's a way to sort of, you know, shove the power creep and stuff like that down your throat. So there'll still be busted decks that everybody uses, the same way that you could say, oh, one of these mechanics would be busted in Historic or Wild or Timeless. But the difference is, now why do we got to play an Emerald guy here? I guess it's Platinum, but the Emerald stands out more than Platinum, because Platinum just looks like shit the same as Silver, which I'm always hard stuck at Silver in both this game and in, what do you call it, in Hearthstone, because I don't even remember what some of these decks are, to be honest, but that seems like an easy mulligan. But no, I'll go through like all of these in history that I've played, just in order. So if I lose, not if I lose a single game, but if I lose the set of games, then I'll move on to the next one. And some of these are going to be even worse than what I've been using lately because, you know, they were just at an older stage. Although the improvement of my collection doesn't always associate with, you know, the quality of my deck, because I don't always go to make the best thing. I go to make whatever I feel like. But yeah, find somebody who loves you as much as I love green or dinosaurs in this game. I haven't seen somebody this crazy about green since Greta Thunberg and environmentalism. Haha. I wouldn't even say I'm the biggest fan of dinosaurs just in general as like a concept, but just in this game they suit exactly what I'm about with their incredible, very, oh, this thing is shit, dude. With their very rewarding stat values. Like, you get a 4 mana 8/8, 5 mana 10/10, like just double it up for no expense other than using green, which you don't have to ask me twice. This one is pretty sick, actually. Oh, here we go. He's gonna make 1 million of these clowns. This game has a lot of interactions like that, of just making little infinite tokens, of which the board has infinite size, which I can think of so many hilarious troll ways to take advantage of that in real life if that's the case. Like you buy a mat that you play on, right, for like Pokemon or something, where it has like all the spots to put the cards. So what would the magic mat look like? It would be literally this whole size of your house, and it would just expand to almost any size. Like, how would they even rationalize that? Or you just like take a piece of paper and write the number of tokens on it or something. Like, it's so complicated that I almost can't even think of how you would do it if it wasn't within an automated space like this. I almost feel like that rule might be here just for that. And of course, I always pose these things, but it's not even like I'm pulling a Fight Reacts where I'm acting dumb just to get views or get people to tell me, because people always love to do that. Like, they love to correct people who don't know what they're doing or talking about. That's why first playthroughs are so popular of stuff. Right, they want to act like they're smarter than you or know what they're talking about, which some of it is well-intentioned, but that's kind of still the basis behind it, right? Everybody likes to backseat, everybody likes to be the wiser and to act like, you know, their knowledge is worthwhile and they're teaching you and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter, oh, I should have done the other, I can still do it. But the fact with that is, I wouldn't even bait for that reason. I just like to keep my experience super pure. So I don't look up anything about it. I don't know anything outside of just what I've seen from playing it. So Yeah, that is one of the best things you could do is, as a content creator, first of all, you should do face cam, right? Like that, all the things I don't do, but that's always for a good philosophical reason. Because I'd love to hear somebody explain, like, what purpose does it serve to show your face? And there isn't really a good explanation you can say that has to do with whatever content you're doing or whatever gameplay you're doing, so at least that should speak for itself. Like, whether you have 1,000 viewers or 1 viewer, it should be based on, oh, your high-level gameplay or your insightful commentary or something. Even that's not cult of personality, because you could be pointing out certain things that are, you know, it's not about you. It just happens to be that you're the vessel of those very insightful ideas or strategies or whatever the case may be. But the problem is that people end up associating it with the face and the person, and it's just very much distracts from any sort of high standard. So it's a lot easier to monetize that. You're like monetizing yourself, right? Make yourself into some sort of celebrity, public figure, cult of personality, and then it's like people would be interested in you and then what you do second instead of what you do first, holding it more accountable, and then you second. Or again, you're just a nameless, faceless vessel who's there to do it as somebody who actually believes in meritocracy. But wow, what a prediction. See, I'm an expert. I knew that he was going to make 1 million of these because we've seen this happen like 1 million times. And my deck is not the sort that is suited to deal with that, because obviously I neither have really very good removal, nor do I have AoE. I have plenty of mana, but I wonder if there's anything in here that's actually going to be able to take advantage of that. Yeah, that would be so many things in the real life game that would be interesting to see how they're different here. I know some of the cards themselves are exclusive, but it couldn't be that every token card that generates X number of tokens to a potential infinite level, and that doesn't even have anything to do with it, because there would still have to be like a creature limit, like whether they're tokens or not. Like, you can just play X number of creatures as much as you want. So, and I love the fact that was pretty cool. Aside from the border is pretty shitty, but like no limit to the number of cards they can have in their deck, or at least it's very broad, like 60 to 250 or 300 or whatever. I can't even remember what it is. Base shift. Yeah, whatever busted stuff people might be using in Timeless would be the same sort of stuff they could be using in Historic, maybe with a few extensions on top of it. But that would be even more free reign and open-ended. Like, would you rather restrict your experience or not? But yet somehow a lot of people fall for the trap of this illusion of balance. I can guarantee you no game is ever perfectly balanced ever. Even games like chess aren't balanced, because black is objectively at a disadvantage compared to white. You can balance it out then by saying, okay, you get to play as each color an equal number of times. But in and of itself, as an individual singular game, chess is not balanced, because whoever's black is at a disadvantage compared to whoever's white. So no game like that is ever 100% perfectly balanced, because you can't do that. But turn-based games have the best chance of arguably being that. Holy shit. Wait, but oh, so it wasn't enough for him to just get these. These are so lacking in personality. They're almost like me. They match my monotone style. Okay, let's just... Now, we still do get another chance to beat him, but we got off to a good ramp start in terms of the number of minion, or amount of mana generating minions we got. But the problem is that we didn't get any actual fucking minions to play with them, which I assume at least there's some in here. Why? How is this the card back for this deck? That doesn't even make sense. I thought this was one of my super old decks when I wouldn't have even had that card back. It kind of fits because this is called Nest Birds, which means it was like a lot of green flying stuff somehow. Right? I made like a deck that's like, let's try to make a green flying deck because it's so hard to find flying minions for green. So a lot of them are hybrids or something. Or maybe they're not even green, but I rely on the 1 mana of any color generating minions to give me that. Dude, we get the point, bro. Like, you know I couldn't do anything about it. What do I have? Electromagnetic Turtle in my fucking graveyard? Obscure Yu-Gi-Oh! Reference 1 million. Where, like, certain cards like that can still have an impact on the game. Like, Yugi's hand is empty. His deck is empty. Whatever is he gonna do? And then, oh, he has a card in his graveyard that has some effect that could still save him. Right? Like, it's a way you can subvert the audience to make them think. Like the old Light Yagami effect. That's one of the most convincing moments in any story. Where if you look back, let's psychoanalyze this. if you look back, whenever Light says he's won, right? He's like, oh, people think he's cocky or something. He says to Naomi Mizora in like episode 7, it's because I'm Kira, and then she dies. And he smiles in L's face, and he even says in episode 24, I've won exactly as planned. So one episode after him saying that, L dies, and he wins. So the point is, in episode 36, when he says, well, Nier looks like I win, Nier's ought to be shitting his pants, because no matter what he thinks he knows, right, this is the same guy who beat L. So the way you can do it is like, when he calls a shot, he doesn't miss. Like, when he says he wins, that actually holds some weight. It's not just one of these, oh, haha, evil villain laughing. Throughout the course of the series, they convince you as the audience that, like, whenever this guy says he's going to win, he actually does win, even as notably as against L. So you almost would be convinced, like, there's nothing that you could do to stop him at that point. But I love that, because it's such a powerful psychological thing that, like, as a viewer watching it, I was genuinely convinced. I thought he was going to win at that point. Whereas in almost no other story would that be the case, because anybody being portrayed basically as the villain would not be convincing. You know the villain's going to lose, but there you're almost not sure. And I almost don't view him strictly as a villain, but they kind of try to make it seem more like that towards the end. But yeah, how the fuck did this card back get changed? This is definitely, or I guess the card backs and the avatars are just constant no matter what. But then again, I thought I was using something else. I must have finally moved on from the Tim Burton card back to show my love of dinosaurs. But the whole thing here is, did it crash or what? The whole thing with this is the fact that I just want a pet. I don't know why I even got this one. Like, it looks okay, but I wonder if there's somebody who's collected every cosmetic in the history of the game. But again, some of them are locked behind paying real money even, so that wouldn't be very honorable. Yeah, I love how PvZ Heroes card pool is so small that you can make such a joke out of it. Like, you could fit one color of one expansion or something, or whatever, like one expansion's worth of cards into the whole game, right? PvZ Heroes is like one Magic expansion or one Hearthstone expansion with like 500 cards or something like that. So it's still a good game, but it's like, it's mind-boggling how few cards it actually has compared to a lot of these other ones, and how little support it must have had. Even when it did, like, if 400 cards is what you get after a couple years of support, or whatever amount of support they gave it, then I'd hate to see the game without support, because, you know, that's like one expansion's worth, like I said. So you could tell me that, oh, the cards that they released were just the ones at launch and they've never added anything since, and I would believe you. But I feel like they did add at least a couple expansions, because you can see the archetypes. Like, they have their own dinosaurs, they have their own you know, space related stuff, they have all these kind of other archetypes that make you think they released them sort of together in a, I like that sort of trickle design philosophy, right? Like, they'll introduce a mechanic, like something, like, let's say they introduce hexproof as a mechanic in one expansion, right? Like, let's say this expansion introduced hexproof, then next expansion they would have like one or two things that have hexproof, and that's it. But they would still remember, like, oh yeah, remember that cool mechanic. And then 10 expansions later, they'll still have a couple more, right? They don't just forget about them the way they forgot about dinosaurs here, obviously, in this one. But, and apparently in that Cons of Tark here too. This guy's just fucking trolling me, dude. But this might be a better sort of ramp start than I'm really looking for. This is maybe my only hope of winning. And these people don't really seem to mind that their deck is so fucking massive. Like, where even the lands start to become so artistic and so fucking powerful. Power creep in lands, or power creep in energy, like in Pokemon. All these kind of different things. What is he doing, bro? I guess he is Emerald, so he's got to really try hard, because he doesn't want to lose to a silver player. Which I have beaten somebody at this rank before. I might have even beaten someone higher. Like, what would be after platinum? Maybe it would actually be mythic. I feel like there's something else, but whatever. If it's platinum, or I mean, if it's mythic, I think I beat them in one game of the set, but I still lost the set to them. So we went like 1 and 2 against them, but that's still something. Again, with all these shitty decks, and I don't use that to qualify. Like, you know, I don't care, I don't mind. Like, I still play to win within the course of the game, but it's more important to win the way you want, or for now at least. Because see, if I got to rank 50 once, then it almost takes the luster of the game away from me. Then it's like, I've done it, so now what else is there to do? I could do it again and again every month, or, you know, I almost like to save it in a way. It's like beating a game. I've never beaten Skyrim, but I've played it over 1,000 hours. If I beat it and killed Alduin, obviously spoilers, I know who the final boss is. But if I did that, then I might have less of a desire to play it, because even on some basic psychological RP level, I'd be like, oh, everything I'm doing is working towards finally being strong enough, and my hero's training for the big final match against Alduin, or whatever, the journey, the main story to come that I haven't done. So you're working towards something still, even if it's not really necessary and it has nothing to do with it. You want this overarching goal to still work towards. Now that could make me win the whole set. I'm literally lag switching this guy out. So I did beat an Emerald player in very easy fashion there, but I don't know if I would have otherwise, or if I deserve to. It was very punishing for you quitting out like that. Yeah, this is the Nestbirds one, so I must have just changed my I must have just changed my thing. Like my overall art things, they're not really tied to the deck, I guess. I didn't know that. Yeah, this expansion immediately disinterests me because it didn't have any dinosaurs in it. They've gone extinct, literally, but I mean, at least give us a black one then, an undead fossil of one. But I mean, I guess you can't complain when you were just spoiled last expansion with them, but that, and oh, you know what mechanic we could use to sort of make up for that then is hexproof. Are there any other good hexproof ones in there? Where is it? I just love the marketing for this game is a little bit wonky, dude. Do they have My Little Cardback Pony fucking card sleeves in real life that they sell too? Because that really is the target demographic for this game. Elitist, most complex card game ever, or whatever you want to call it. Hexproof. I mean, there's a lot of these that I already still don't have that were in the game before, but just see if there's something kind of fun. A lot of them just sort of mention it, but they don't actually have it. Hexproof 2/5. I mean, I guess there's no harm in making it. That's the one thing I like about blue, as much as I don't like it. It always has to do with spells, but it even has to do with countering spells, so that's my whole forte. It does look pretty cool, actually. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, skip that draw instead. As long as there are no cards, so you would normally lose the game there, right? This must have some very specific synergy or use. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards, skip that draw. As long as there are no cards in your library, it has been... Oh, shit, that's so cool, though. Like, it's a lot of work for nothing, and it's not even, like, a high rarity card. Hexproof Prowess. I'm not hesitating to make these just because I... what even is Prowess? Whenever you get a non-creature spell. I don't really care about that. Just because I have so many of these cards to use. Tap creatures have hexproof, so that encourages you to just attack every turn and not even worry about it. Has hexproof as long as it's your turn. What's the point of that? I mean, you stop like an instant spell or something, but when it enters the battlefield, investigate twice. Sacrifice an artifact, gains your choice of vision. Okay, so until end of turn, though. That's so shit. But he looks pretty awesome, actually. This is the basis that I should use to choose my cards. 6 mana, 6/6. The only thing I don't like it about it is the blue. Look how green the picture is. What the fuck does he have to do with blue? Morph is what? You may cast this card as face down to... Oh, I don't like that mechanic. And wasn't that the one I kept getting the option to do in the draft last time, and I just refused to do it? Maybe that's why I lost so badly, but that was kind of shocking. You could say it's because I don't know what I'm doing, but I never really know the meta when I go into one of those, but I usually win. I mean, see, I won 1 and then I won 2, so it's like... This trick is so expensive, dude. High maintenance, am I right? Mythic wildcard too. But no, it's like you go in and you don't know any of the mechanics or anything, but if you win like 2 games, that's still pretty good because that's 2 out of 3. So how much better could you have done? Right? So even if you average 2 wins in a best of 3 format or in play 3 total format, that's not so bad. Whenever it attacks, exile top 4 cards of your library until end of turn. You may cast non-creature spells from among those without paying their mana cost. That is actually pretty good. I can't deny it. But again, think about the headache I would have to go to. I would either have to put a different colored land in my deck, which you know that's never going to happen, or I would have to basically just have a lot of mana generating minions. I'm actually kind of intrigued by that, though. Whenever it attacks, which is not hard to do, especially it has first strike, it also has hexproof, so it's going to be hard for them to get rid of. It's going to exile top 4 cards, and you may cast non-creature spells from among those without paying their cost. I'm actually gonna do it. Who would think this would be the fucking mythic card I would make? And before there's one that I really regret, but I'm just intrigued by hexproof now more than anything. Because in sort of dinosaur withdrawal, I go to hexproof as my sort of fallback, as my what do they call it, like whatever, like you're having, you just broke up and you have your backup bitch is a fucking hexproof here. Flying hexproof from multicolored. When it deals common damage to a player, I mean, I love the flying. Wait, what does that even mean? Oh, it's stupid. Permanent with hexproof multicolor can be the target of multicolored spells or abilities, but that's kind of pointless because so much of it is not going to be like that. It deals X damage to target. Yeah. It's just have straight up hexproof and I'd be more satisfied. You know what? I'll still make it though. He looks cool. But no, I mean, most removal is not going to be multicolored, I don't think. The way it almost makes it look is like, oh, he's a jack of all trades, so he would be just immune to all of them. Protection from everything, but let's go ahead and make or should I just put those? I don't know what I should do. I should make like another hexproof type deck and just fucking milk that as much as I can. How could I forget about my other favorite mechanic? I was just so depressed the dinosaurs were not a thing. But let's see if there's something else maybe we would get in here that we otherwise wouldn't be able to. And as far as timeless, which I swear wasn't there before, or it wasn't there for like a super long time at least. You have hexproof, don't really care about that. Even in Hearthstone, I don't really like those ones that give your hero hexproof. I could care less about that. Okay, it just has to be something that actually says it on there. I always think of this as like a potential win condition card that I could just keep buffing it and then one-shot them or like do damage over time, because when you summon it, they often don't focus on it or go out of their way, or sometimes they can't do anything to it. So you can slowly chip away, and I've won certain games just because this guy's sitting there whacking them the whole game. So buffing is really good with this kind of mechanic because... Okay, I'm not going to do one with 0 attack though. That's where I draw the line. But some of these are really shit value, but... Hexproof prowess, so some of these are the new ones. Angular turtle is actually badass because this plays into my, as much as I again don't like blue, I can see past my bias and be objective. This is one of the best effects in the game for me because I always get pissed like, oh, they keep hiding their minions there and they keep buffing them and heal buff. So this would force them to actually attack in and just sack them because they can't just keep sitting there and hiding them behind the base mechanic of and yeah, I love this, the base mechanic of just not being able to attack stuff and only being able to block. This is awesome too because what you can do is the few things that you don't have. This is like the Trog or whatever, right? So I have like Trog Zor in the anti-spell mage deck in Hearthstone, right, from back in the day. So like every single thing in the deck is basically hexproof, so they can't target it anyway. And then the one thing that you can target is like Lothab, who makes every spell next turn cost 5 more, so that cucks you from being able to do it. And then Trogzor, who every time you cast a spell, he summons a 3/5. So like whatever is in there, they like they're waiting, they're pissed the whole game. Like I can't wait till I finally use a spell, and I have all these useless spells sitting in my hand that I can't do anything because it's all removal and it's all single target and all this shit. And then they finally get to do it, but you still cuck them even then. So you have a counter spell down, you play Lothab, then they play 10 mana to try to get rid of him, and then it gets countered. And they had no choice. They couldn't bait it out because it's going to cost 5 more. Or the same thing with Trogzor or something. Or those 5/5 Nerubians that make spells cost 2 more and stuff. Like they're paying more just to bait it out, just to get countered. So you can see the sadistic psychological element almost to that in a fun way. That like you're really trying to push them and punish them for using spells and tricks and stuff like that in general. What was the other thing? Like... Oh yeah, the Trog. So I almost remember the interaction working differently, but then when I tried it lately or more recently, it didn't work like that. You would have counterspell down, and then you would have the Trog out, and they would play a spell to try to remove it, and then it would summon the Trog, even though it got countered. But now it doesn't, because it got countered, it doesn't summon the Trog. Or maybe that was like Spellbender. So you play Spellbender, they use a single target removal card like Fireball, Trogzor, but then it gets absorbed by the Spellbender, and then you summon a 3/5 as well. Or you summon a 3/5 and then it gets buffed too all at once in the same thing. So the same thing here, like the one thing you have in this deck that isn't going to be hexproof, then you'll still have this ready to protect it and turn it into hexproof. So I kind of like that idea, even though there might not be that many things really in here. So gains hexproof until end of turn. Why do I not remember that being a thing though? I thought it just gained hexproof period. Maybe they changed that randomly. Put a +1/+1 counter. Again, I hate these until end of turn. Flash enchant when it enters untapped target creature. Gains hexproof, don't care. You have to be careful not to just blindly craft these. Yeah, see, I don't care about one color. As long as it's your turn, creatures you control have hexproof. That's kind of the least important thing for me. This guy was so close to being my favorite card in the history of the game. And when I first read it, I was like so happy. It's a 4-mana 6/6 with hexproof, and the cost of it is you can't cast non-creature spells, which I'm happy with that. I'm okay. I don't do that anyway. Haven't you seen my decks that are mostly minions anyway? But it has this negative effect that maybe only I consider negative and other people think is good. You can pay 2, so now you can cast non-creature spells. But the problem is your opponent can do that, and then they can use removal on it. For only 2 more, you can get rid of him, which sucks. Like, wouldn't it be a fair design to say, remove that 2-cost thing, so now I have to commit to I can never play anything besides creature spells. So that's a big price for me to pay, and I just have to deal with it, but it's worth it for a 6/6 hexproof. But that also removes your opponent's ability to do it. So that's a very interesting piece of text that you can interpret multiple ways. It's good for you because it lets you play other things, but it's also bad because it lets your opponent do it. So I could definitely live with that not being there. Some of this stuff is good, obviously, with the buff capability. The Convoke one is kind of shitty, though, I must admit. There's just not really going to be enough in here. I like to sometimes just do one of each just for the variety of it, but some of them are really shitty. Some of these are obviously the new ones that I made. Flying enchanted creatures have hexproof. That's a pretty good one. Actually, the effect is quite good. I'll do this one just for the fuck of it, but I guarantee you they'll have all their removal saved up. So you'll do this, and then they'll immediately just use a removal that isn't multicolored. Has trample hexproof as long as they control a planeswalker. Is that really it? That's all the ones I have in the whole game. I guess green really doesn't have that many, but isn't that like your dream come true? This is my, like, I won't say it's my favorite card in the game, but this represents what I'm all about. A decently statted, although it's not that great, 6 mana 7/6. It's a dinosaur, it can't be countered, it's trample, it's hexproof, so, and it's green, and it's a dinosaur and everything else, so it's like, you just have to force to play on with it on the board. You can't just hide and use removal on it, and most AoE is probably not going to really be enough to kill it either. Assuming it just does damage, there is a lot of AoE that just destroys everything on the board, period, which is kind of bullshit. We need 15 more cards, and they're going to mostly be the mana generating stuff here, which I don't know what that's going to really be. You can afford to have a couple of these, but green is not really your number one priority. In fact, you have more blue in here than anything else. You're going to have to put more forest lands in here, but I love to subvert the whole idea of doing any other land, right? I don't want to do any land. But only to cast a dinosaur, I don't think there's enough of them that really are dinosaurs. In fact, I was celebrating that there even was any at all. So I hate doing this hybrid land stuff. So even when I was doing like the rainbow dinosaur thing, I was still relying entirely on the fact of these mana generators that give you 1 mana of any color, which we're hopefully about to see pretty soon. Yes, like even this card helps to reward that style the same way that other one does. Like the one time they play a spell, you at least get to draw from it, or the one time that they try to target something, it gets negated because then I'll turn it into hexproof. I don't know if these fit in here though, because there's really nothing in here that isn't hexproof. This is the biggest commit ever, and the way that you could really fill this out is if you just made like multiple copies of each, but I kind of don't want to do that one. Where are all the mana generators? We need like the carotid, we need like the, I can never remember their names, like the taxidermist. I can just look up that card text, I guess. But yeah, if we put a lot of these in there, and then a lot of the rest of it is going to be land anyway, we'll put in like maybe up to 14 of these. Or you know what we ought to do is still have like rebuke or something. Deals common damage equal to its power target creature you don't control. Each opponent gets a poison counter. I guess this is just a better version of the thing, but I'm not really going to be using the thing anyway. Doesn't that one guy have hexproof anyway? The one that has like haste and everything? Huh, I thought like the toxic haste, I guess I'll look at it after. I'm just obsessed with rebuke because I'm used to using it, but add 1 mana of any color. Where are the other ones? There's the taxidermist. There's at least one or two more. This is the clown who always makes green look bad because he's always using those white buff clown decks. Rabid Pipe was what I was using at the beginning of the game. I guess my decks haven't really changed that much from them, though, so I wouldn't blame you for not really knowing the difference. Yeah, I didn't even really want to play too much today because, again, there's really nothing to do, but I was kind of just trying to look for some of the new cards, but they weren't as exciting as I thought. And I didn't really look at them because a lot of them were just the same ones. Or, I mean, like, I'm just looking for certain mechanics. I don't really care about the rest of them. But whatever we saw from the draft last time wasn't all that interesting either. This isn't really Rainbow Dinosaur as much as it's Rainbow Hexproof. What the hell is going on? Add 1 mana of any color. There's at least one other dude who does that, who we just saw. Or maybe that is enough. Yeah, let's add like maybe 10 more lands. And then we'll add like a couple... What was the other thing I said I wanted to add? I was like to add different pictures of this too. Not that we have too many that are actually going to be unique in that way. Like, and I hate the ones that are not just the vanilla ones either, even if the effect is objectively just a net positive. How much are we going to have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have 20 lands, which should be more than enough. But the last several games I played, like on some episode, I got cucked on lands so hard every single time, even though I had a decent amount of them. The real thing I'm going to get cucked on is just the 1 mana of any color stuff that I always constantly need. Let's see what we can do here. I'm trying to avoid playing that Rainbow Dinosaur deck just because I did maybe a little bit too much of it. We have Master's Rebuke. There was something else I wanted, but now I can't think of what it was. Maybe I should still fit some... No, I don't know. There's something specific that I said I wanted, and now I can't think of what it is. Or I guess these aren't different pictures, but whatever. They just added that automatically. Angler Turtle. With whatever little we have left, there must be something else. Oh yeah, who was it that I said? It's the Toxic one. But I swear he had Hexproof too. He has like Toxic Haste, Trample. I guess he doesn't. He has Ward for 4. You know, maybe we ought to do that. Yeah. Let's put in like 4 of the best Ward ones that we have in the game. Because that guy is kind of a cool card. He's also always an epic finisher if you do have a Toxic deck, which usually when I use him, he's not in one. But yeah, let's see what the best... Although I wasted all my wild cards. What is like the best Ward one we... Wait, what? Oh, we are looking at only a green. Yeah, what? I wonder what class or what color would have the most to do with Ward. And it probably is still blue because it always has to do with all those magic type related things. But it could also be white because, you know, it's all about healing and protecting yourself and things like that. But I don't think white really has all that many Hexproof ones. In fact, you can see here, there's basically none of them that have that. So let's just see something like really well statted. I'll just go for the highest cost one. Like, you got a 7 mana 5/5. This thing is pretty sick. What is it? It's only Ward 2 though. I mean, you need something better than that. 1 less to cast for each instant sorcery spell in your graveyard. Invoke Ward 3. Like, if I type in the number after, would it actually... I don't care. Black has very few. Red doesn't have too many. I see a dinosaur on the radar over here. Ascend, you may play additional land. Can't attack or block unless you have the city's blessing. Where does it say Ward? Oh, just because it has Wayward in the fucking name. What the fuck? What a troll. This is a hexproof 5 mana 5/3. I mean, how did I miss that one in crafting them in such exceptional value? This is kind of good actually. Just because it's going to give you a little extra mana. That's from the last expansion. In fact, that's even the title cover fucking art for it, I'm pretty sure. Right when I went to log in the first time and whatever, do my draft. 2 less to cast if a creature died this turn. This is like that worm that was nerfed in Hearthstone, where if every... Not exactly, but for every creature that died this game, it costs like 1 less or something. Reach, Vigilance, Convoke, Ward. We need like a high Ward cost. Yeah, here we go. You ask and you shall receive, but I don't have enough to even do it. The Thoracic, is that actually how you say it? Has haste and Ward 10 as long as it was cast. Whenever it attacks, it fights target creature defending player controls. There's very few things that actually say that, as long as it was cast. That's kind of good, because that's my style anyway, but you can't use all these other broken effects like, whatever, just play everything from your fucking thing. Directly from your deck or something. Whenever it attacks, it fights target creature defending player controls. So you can at least choose. But that's not really very good. That's like a negative effect too. That should also not be there if it was cast. It shouldn't have to deal with that. That should only be otherwise. Flying, lifelink, each legendary permanent you control has ward 2. I'm just looking for like a crazy value, like ward 50 or something that just kind of sticks it to you. Like you may as well be hexproof, but nothing here is really that impressive. It wouldn't even matter if it's multicolored, because kind of like everything I have is multicolored anyway. Ward 4 for 8. When it dies, so it's an 8 mana 8/8 with ward 4, which to me is kind of cool enough to qualify. Add 8 mana of any color, I assume is what that means. Until the end of the turn, you don't lose mana. Okay, fine. We'll do one of those just because it's cool. I don't really remember ever making it though, so I probably got it in a pack. Let's just look for... I mean, I guess I can't make the Jurassic dude anyway. I don't know what to even fit in here otherwise, so let's just do... You know what? Let's do those other two just as in symbolic reference to whatever. And they're both green cards, I'm pretty sure. The two that are going to punish them for playing spells even outside of their normal way. Because like they're not going to play spells most of the time, but just to really stick it to them in case they do, or if they somehow are able to target something. But it almost just seems like a waste of space. Yeah, Wild Shape, that'll be for a few of these things. Or you know what it'll be good for is the mana generating minions themselves. We can kind of fitting the invisible stalkers there. That'll be our win condition after all. Let's just do one best of 3 with this, but yeah, we'll try to go through and do like a gauntlet.
After each
at least this I can accept, because why does you keep resetting too? Like what, I can't listen and do this at the same time? But no, because at least I'm playing in a new format, timeless, so...
You'll earn rewards based on your highest rank each season. This
she'll just keep talking even into the fucking
victory
thing here. I don't know if she just stopped talking naturally of her own volition, or if it was because this screen started to load. You can bluff having a spell to cast. Yeah, I never do that. This is a mouse-only game. We're playing on phone. Yeah, it's amazing how so many of these cards get the art style wrong, where they should be more elaborate with their portraits and stuff. If PvZ heroes can do it, you can do it. Just where you actually show the visuals of the thing on the screen, even if that screen is a phone exclusive only screen, where it's in like this shitty resolution that you have to have the borders around your screen to make it work, or whatever. Like I have to put 2 pieces of art that are bigger than the game itself individually, so like 4 times bigger than the game. Oh, look at this guy. Let's see who the true dinosaur lover is, even though I don't have that many dinosaurs in here. This is fine with me. So again, we'll get to see the very sexy interaction of just play minions on the board and watch them actually stay there. Imagine that. Which you get to see that the most in the earliest stage of a card game, because there's only so much removal in the game, and most games don't focus on it that much even ever, but there just starts to get to be so much that it gets annoying. Like, you're not going to play a card game that just came out and be like constantly removal locked and fucked over the way that everything is so preconceived when it's been out for a long time and it's been power creep to death. I think I only played 1 set of games before this, so we mostly were just trying to look at the cards and make a deck here. I like playing these games kind of casually, but at the same time, in the past, I would have played them a lot more too. Like, you can, well, it would be kind of a middle ground balance. Like, I might still play it like this, but I would get through it a lot sooner. Like, I would build up my collection or whatever, but these games almost condition you in a way to not be able to do that. Because, like, I don't even care about doing the daily quest now or anything. This expansion will just be like an easy, laid-back thing, because I don't even have to worry about it. I don't want the rank 35 thing. I don't care. Right? It's not a fucking dinosaur head. We're already set. Unless it was like a dinosaur pet or something. One of these expansions, I got to save enough gems for the mastery tree thing, though. The mastery track. Because even as free to play or whatever, it's not like it's not like that would count against me. Like, oh, that's a pay-to-win currency, but it's really not, because I love when people just can't deal with it. Like, they're not expecting, wow, he actually has hexproof. But all they would need to do is play something of decent value on the board, which sadly, because of power creep, most of the normal stuff that they would play anyway is going to be better than the stuff I have. Each player puts an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land from their hand onto the battlefield. Sure. Fuck it. What's the downside, bro? You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. Now he's gonna do some crazy OTK combo that makes it all worth it, but if you don't, you're kind of fucked. That's probably the thing that shocked me most about this game, was the fact that everything was that you start with only a base 20 health. It makes it seem like it's way too casual, and it's, again, in the PvZ heroes category, right? Of your hero starting with 20 health. Polar opposites in terms of games, but just with the number of cards and the complexity and things like that, but you would never think that this game really has 20 health. Like, I remember people made fun of Hearthstone so much as, oh, it only has 30 cards, which is fair. Even I was worried about that at the beginning, but they made it work. Or it only has like 30 health. Okay, well, that was pretty quick that they got that. I imagine that won't happen every game. I don't even know or process what happens. I'm not going to read the card, dude. I don't care. I just want to play this shit on the board. I'll still come back and win. Watch. I don't always play games in these episodes, but when I do, I never lose. All of them, anyway. Except last time, like in the fucking draft. Clearly, I would never lose if I made the deck myself, even though in a manner of speaking, I did. But with all these shitty suboptimal commits to mechanics and all this kind of stupid shit, where you're just able to basically, you know, say, oh, I like this mechanic, or I like this archetype, and that's all I do. I mean, that was a hefty price to pay. So maybe if I declined, it wouldn't let him do it. Whatever, like he gained some benefit from it, but it didn't say that anywhere on the card. You won't even let me play a fucking random 2-cost minion on the board without doing something. Yeah, see, I don't even hold that against the game necessarily, that there's so much of this reactive shit that you're going to see all the time. What I would like to see, yeah, maybe that's a good indication of the timeless format, though. You're going to see more crazy shit even than usual, like that win condition so easily, but we've seen stuff like that before. Maybe even that same exact thing. But the point is that, you know, you always have to look for an earlier state of the game. So when I become a big partner streamer, I will manually go back and buy the oldest Magic cards in the game and do my own tournament where I play against people where you're only allowed to use cards up to such and such format, which I'm sure people do that sort of thing. But I'll go out of my way to make it happen myself, just to show, like, I just really want to play it as if it was new to me, because it is, obviously, but we'll go back to the oldest one and then keep going through expansions or something like that. I always like that too, where it's like you rotate expansions, but you can only use the cards from that one expansion only. Like, that's a fun format. So it's like you start with the first expansion ever, and then you move on to the second one, but you don't add the second one to the first one. You stop using the second one, and then I think he just gets to do it anyway. Like, let's test that theory. Now he's just gonna win the game. Fun and interactive experience. Like, what the fuck, bro? This is why it's timeless, because it's timelessly broken, and they'll never take the time to do it, to change it. Applying Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, you just win the game. Fuck it. Are you serious with this, bro? Maybe I'll just do a best of one, just so I can actually get the chance to play this in some sort of meaningful sense. Like, at least let me do something, bro. Is there a chance he didn't get what he wanted, or he just wins the game? The Atraxa is the means by which all is revealed. Like the Arcana is the means by which all is revealed. That's the only thing I know from Persona. Just that one of the final bosses in one of the games keeps saying that over and over. The Arcana is the means by which all is revealed. And then he says like some sort of philosophical quote afterwards, teaching you a lesson about your pathetic lives. How much you want to bet this? This is like a turn 1 on Yu-Gi-Oh! This is ridiculous, but at least it's not turn 1. That's the most fun and interactive thing ever. You sit through 5 minutes of synchro summon shit, and people would say, well, sure, you can do that yourself, but, you know, again, I'm not going to hold that against the format. I'm just going to take it in stride because we've dealt with all kind of bullshit otherwise. And again, I'm not going to complain because it's like, I'm choosing to play this format. That's fine. And I could do the same thing he's doing too. Right, so that's why I even say, oh, it's impossible for a card game to be balanced, but it always is balanced in the sense that whatever they're using, you could use too. So the only thing that could be a defining factor there is either the RNG of who draws what first, or the simple idea that you're basically able to
This is your each victory.
the simple this won't count towards the whole gauntlet thing because I'm just trying to showcase this deck overall, but the thing is, whoever gets it first or whoever plays first could be the only determinant factor there. But yeah, everybody can use the same exact deck. So you play like this deck recipe format like in Pokemon, where it's like all these themed decks that are considered even though they're not, because a lot of the newer ones are broken by comparison. But the point is, at least those are structured decks that you can only use those exact ones. But no, that format that I was talking about is so fun, where you pick out an expansion and you can use only the cards in that expansion, not all the cards up to that expansion from before, right? That's often how they do it. Like even in Hearthstone, they're doing that. Like you can use every expansion from X period to X period. So like up and to this expansion. Why can't it just be? Fuck. I always need some mana generator here. This you don't really need. This you don't hopefully need. Because then it's like, what's the best possible deck you can make just only in that format alone, which is a format that's never existed. Although arguably in drafts, but even that, I think some other cards from other expansions do trickle in. But it's just like, you're in a position where you basically feel like, you know, you're giving it a very specific criteria. So that's always fun. I could do that if I go through all the expansions physically, manually, from the history of the game. Which the only reason why I'd have to do it physically is because this game doesn't have them in there, or you'd have to do it in some other manual program where you can put the cards in yourself. But that's like a real missed opportunity, in my opinion, because it allows you to miss out on so many cards in the game. Like, how hard would it have been for them to just put every card in the history of the game into this, all 70,000+ of them, whatever it is? But it probably would have been pretty hard, but it would be worth it. But instead, they decide to do all these stupid, shitty cosmetics and crossovers, Post Malone, My Little Pony, or they decide to invent their own cards as if you don't have enough to draw from already. It's kind of weird. Whenever somebody doesn't have a pet, that's how you know they're a newbie, even though he does have that Frodo thing. Oh shit, he's using my gimmick shit deck from before. It's not even really a theme deck, it's just a bad deck, because you would use stuff like that because you just didn't have anything else. All you have to do is pay 2 mana above your threshold to do this. This is in timeless format, so why would you even play timeless format if you're using like a bad deck like this? I wouldn't recommend that. Or even people didn't recommend playing historic as a new player, but I find that more fun because you get to see way more things. You don't want to just keep, I want to see the same thing over and over on my side because I'm only going to have so many cards and I have to use kind of a limited number of things. So of course I'm going to see the same stuff on my end, and I just like green and I just like dinosaurs and I'm obsessive like that. But the problem is that you basically end up in a position where okay, you got Death Touch, that's fine. I'll see the same stuff on my side for those reasons. Limited card pool because you just made your account and you're new to the game. But you don't want to see it on the other side, so at least you'll see some variety. Instead of, if you play on Standard, you'll see the same meta decks over and over, which arguably you'll see that in Historic too, but it'll just be from a wider field. And people will try to improvise at least a little bit. So it's just objectively more fun to me. And again, everything's new to me, so why would I want to restrict myself? It's sort of a good philosophy to have. Like, when you're experiencing something for the first time, why would you want to short or cheat the experience? Oh, look at the top tier, god tier synergy, but it doesn't even work with the other fucking ballads. It's a case where, oh, I'd love to play that. It's like, oh yeah, that's still pretty worth it. Wait, what it? I forgot what it did. Until the end of the turn, you don't lose this mana as this. Oh shit. Okay, so we'll use it next turn. I was gonna say, what would be the point of it then if I can't use it now? That is a pretty awesome mechanic. What was I supposed to do? Why is it saying pass like I can do something? Why couldn't I play this though? Wait, I'm so confused. Until the end of the turn. I thought it would last like until next turn. Well, we should be able to do this anyway. For my first time playing this, which this wasn't even a mythic card, was it? This was just like a gold card. I always assume like legendaries are always mythics. Which a lot of them are, but I mean there's a lot of legendaries in this game. And there's always that weird rule that I forget about, like, oh, you can only have one of each on the thing on the board at the same time. Like, it's very rare that you're gonna have to worry about that, but especially if it's from some effect, like an effect that summons everything, you know, the top 3 cards from your deck at once, like automatically. But then how would it process that if 2 of them are the same guy? If they're the same legendary, that wouldn't be allowed. I feel like we've almost seen that interaction happen, and I was wondering what would happen, and I didn't get to before. Whatever, I lost or something. So we're not in too bad of a spot, but he's at least got a second win here a little bit. Yeah, sometimes the lower level can be more fun because there is more variety to it, and you have to kind of squeeze the water from the stone and make the most of what you have. But yeah, like I was saying, when you're new to a game, you should never rush through it. But the idea here is, wait, what was that? Oh, it's a stupid morph thing. The idea is that you're basically like, well, look, you can still just oh, that's, or no, he does have reach, but it's okay because I'll use the stupid trample thing. And when it dies, something happens to... I mean, I could have even done that with a dinky 1 attack thing, but that's still worth it. So like when you play chess, people are already telling you should study, you should know theory, you should learn openings. Like, it's so stupid. Let somebody just play the game, and then they'll get to that on their own if they enjoy it enough, or if they feel like it later, or maybe they'll never do it and they just enjoy it as a game rather than, again, like a job or like a career. So people can never see the difference in those two things. You might want to play it competitively, and you might want to take it seriously and things like that, but you want to still do it at your own pace or in your own way. So like, you can use like sort of a whatever fun gimmick deck like this, but you would do it in the context of you're still trying to win, but you're trying to win with a particular thing that's not good, instead of going into it saying, no, I'm going to use the most optimal thing, and then I'm still going to try to win there too, in a zero-sum sense, which I can respect that. I am sort of the elitist in the sense to do that in some ways, but not all the time with everything, especially when you're experiencing it, again, sort of pure for the first time. But then once you get to that point, you become sort of jaded, and it's almost not fun anymore. Where that sort of happened to me in Hearthstone. Not that I did it that much, but that's kind of the point. You know, you get to Legend a couple times, and then it's like, what's the point? I should maybe try to get to Legend rank 1, or compete in like real-life in-person tournaments or something to that extent. Oh shit, this is almost as close to a mirror matchup as you're gonna get, but it's more like me. I'm playing like my Ghost from Mario Kart, like the decks that I normally play as my past self, but now I'm using Hexproof almost too much. This is kind of bad in a way, though, because I don't have the ability to match the 10-10 for now. He's using very shitty stuff and playing on the board a lot, which, again, that tends to happen more when you have a bad collection, which I'm assuming he does, or, again, he could be just doing this by choice. I can get rid of everything, but I don't really want to, I don't really want to deal with that 10-10. That's almost a bad thing what I just did, but I can clear his whole board off. What is this? Attacks if able. Oh, I was going to say. I thought that was something else. You mill 3 cards. That's fine. Yeah, what a suitably epic match to end off on. So I should just give up like a Keratin for it. Get rid of the 4-4. Get rid of like a 1-1. Block like a 3-3. Block a 1-1. Block a 10-10. You're only going to take a very small amount of damage. Maybe I even overdid it there a little bit, but now everything is tapped, so you can just kill him. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, you're dead. Or wait. What if I somehow fuck this up? What? Fuck. Hey, give me some sort of emo reaction here. What the fuck was that? Yeah, God level calculation too. They call me the human calculator, by the way. Can't even see his feet there too. It's like all blacked out. I wonder if it's like that with every avatar, that some part of it gets cut off at the bottom. But there's one thing I should do. Oh, I ended up doing the daily quest even despite myself in like playing only 2 or 3 games. But no, I should do this thing where you get to like a certain threshold of packs where it gives you some, not even this, that just happens automatically. There's something else that happens here if you look at the top that I always forget to do. For just 10 more to earn a golden pack. So I should buy at least 10 packs during the course of an expansion, but I almost never buy packs ever. I just get them from random rewards and things like that, or from doing drafts. So I will definitely try to do, maybe even next time, during the course of this expansion, another 10k draft. And the reason why is because that first one was so shitty and disappointing. But just in general, I guess we're not really saving our money for anything. Okay, see you tomorrow.